Darwin Nunez finally speaks out after Liverpool manager Arne Slot criticised his unacceptable behaviour following that shocking miss against Aston Villa. What really happened? Stay with us to uncover the full story and hear Darwin's side of things. Trust me, you will not want to miss this. I'll also bring you other Liverpool news from the last 24 hours that are shaking up Anfield. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you are always up to date with the latest Liverpool news. And if you are as passionate about the Reds as we are, smash that like button to show your support. Let's get started. But before we delve into this explosive news about Darwin Nunez, let's quickly talk about another sad news that unfortunately also happened in this game. In fact, this game wasn't very good for Liverpool. Anyway, let's watch the video. Liverpool are set to be without Conor Bradley for at least their next 2 matches, following a new injury setback sustained during the 2-2 draw with Aston Villa. The right-back came on as a substitute for Trent Alexander-Arnold, with just under 25 minutes left in Wednesday night's thrilling Premier League clash at Villa Park. While the match saw Liverpool drop points, they still extended their lead at the top of the table to 8 points over Arsenal, who have a game in hand. Unfortunately, Bradley's time on the pitch was cut short, as he was forced to leave the game shortly before second-half stoppage time due to an injury. Jarrell Quansah came on to replace him for the final moments of the match. The Northern Ireland international will now undergo a full assessment to determine the severity of the injury and how long he may be sidelined. However, manager Arne Slot has indicated that Bradley is unlikely to feature in Sunday's crucial match against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium or next Wednesday's home game against Newcastle at Anfield. That fixture will serve as a precursor to the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, scheduled for March 16th. Liverpool's schedule remains packed, with a home game against Southampton and another Merseyside derby against Everton looming in early April. Speaking about Bradley's injury, Slot explained, "It is difficult because he felt something when he made a sprint. He tried to continue but had to come off. When a player decides to come off themselves, it's usually not a good sign. It's likely he will be unavailable for City, and I don't expect him to be ready for Newcastle either. After that, we'll have to see if it's a matter of 1 or 2 weeks or something longer." Bradley's absence leaves Liverpool short of options at right-back, with Alexander-Arnold only recently returning from a brief spell out due to a knee injury. Joe Gomez, who re-injured his hamstring just 10 minutes into his comeback during the FA Cup loss to Plymouth, remains sidelined and is expected to be out for several more weeks. In addition, forward Cody Gakpo missed his second consecutive match against Villa after picking up a heavy knock during the recent Merseyside derby. Slot had mentioned before the Villa game that Gakpo was close to being back. Meanwhile, young midfielder Tyler Morton is also unavailable and is not expected to return until May following shoulder surgery. Curtis Jones, however, returned from suspension against Villa and played on the left of the attack as Slot made an unexpected tactical adjustment. Usual starter Luis Diaz was rested and only came on for the final 10 minutes of the game. Reflecting on the tactical decision, Slot said, "Result-wise, going into halftime 2-1 down, you could say it didn't work. But performance-wise, it worked really well because we absolutely did not deserve to be trailing at halftime, in my opinion." The reason for the change was that Luis Diaz, had played 3 games in 7 days. "I used him at Plymouth knowing I had Cody Gakpo as an option to rotate, but then Cody got injured against Everton, leaving us with only 1 winger." Slot continued, "That's why we felt this approach could work, and I believe it did when you consider the chances we created and how we played. But result-wise, you never know what might have happened if we'd done things differently. It wasn't wise to play Lucho for 90 minutes again." The same goes for Jota and Trent, who both came off in the second half. Jota hasn't played for 4 or 5 months, and this was only his second start since returning. You have to manage their minutes carefully, especially during such a busy period with so many games. The Uruguayan forward squandered a prime opportunity to give Liverpool the lead at Villa Park, somehow failing to score into an open net shortly after being introduced as a second-half substitute. Liverpool had to settle for a 2-all draw, missing the chance to extend their lead over Arsenal to 10 points, with their rivals still having a game in hand. Núñez has faced harsh criticism from supporters and former players for wasting the opportunity and was even publicly called out by his manager, Arne Slot, for his reaction after the miss. However, the 25-year-old has now broken his silence on the incident, vowing to keep fighting for the team as they push for major trophies this season. "I wasn't the best 3 weeks ago, and I'm not the worst now," he posted on X. "If I fall, I get up. You'll never see me give up. I'm going to give it my all until my last day in Liverpool. Resilience." Earlier this month, Núñez was the hero for the Reds, scoring twice late in a 2-0 victory over Brentford. However, Wednesday's miss appears to have undone much of the confidence and goodwill he gained from that performance. On Thursday, Slot openly criticized the striker's attitude in the latter moments of the match. "I can accept the miss," said Slot. "What is harder to accept is his reaction afterward. That moment stuck in his head too much. He wasn't his usual self, the Darwin who works tirelessly. I think he was too disappointed after missing that chance." At the final whistle, Núñez seemed particularly frustrated. A video taken at the end of the match showed Liverpool players walking over to applaud the travelling supporters at Villa Park. However, as the camera moved across the pitch, the forward was seen heading off alone. One caption read, "I can accept missing open goals, but Núñez was strolling around most of the time he was on. Shocking attitude." Another fan added, "He's finished. I really don't like that attitude after the match." Meanwhile, Liverpool icon Robbie Fowler described the miss as one of the worst of the season. Speaking on TNT Sports, he remarked, "He doesn't think about the game enough. When you're low on confidence, you have to go back to basics. You need to get the ball, control it, pass it 5 yards, keep it simple. Football is about doing the basics right. He just doesn't think, does he? It's a terrible miss, one of the worst we've seen this year. Szoboszlai perhaps could have taken the shot himself, but he played a brilliant pass to Núñez, and from 8 yards out, he missed the target completely. That just shouldn't happen." Núñez has struggled throughout the season, finding the net only 6 times in 35 appearances across all competitions. In January, he was linked with a high-profile transfer to the Saudi Pro League, with reports suggesting Al Nassr were close to agreeing on a deal worth over £62 million before shifting their focus to Aston Villa's John Duran. Liverpool are expected to look for a more clinical striker this summer, potentially parting ways with Núñez, who joined the club from Benfica in 2022 for a record-breaking £85 million. Leave your opinion in the comments on this topic. And take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the latest Liverpool news.